Okay, I'm going to admit everybody. Okay, I think we're good to go.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Town of Brighton Conservation Board meeting for May 11th, 2021. I'm Dennis Adams, Chair of the Board. With me tonight is Karen Berger, our Vice Chair. We have Christine Corrado, Brighton Town Board member, Rick DiStefano, Town Staff, Mitchell Nellis. His show's here, but I don't see him. And I don't, oh, there, we have you, George. George Smith. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4.
And Susan is here also. Susan Riblett is.
There's Mitch. Good. All right, good. All right, so we have a quorum and we'll get started. We have anything on the public forum this evening? Nope. Okay. I'll hear a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Okay. All in favor? Okay. Minutes are approved. We have any communications? Nope. All right. We'll move to
No
project.
communications. All right, we'll do 6P0121 first.
Okay. Application of Mansai Ladrigan, agent. Site plan modification for standby emergency generator in a side yard at 900 Winton Road South.
Good evening. How are you, sir?
Hi, Paul.
I want to thank the board for hearing our application. I'm Paul Galad with Architect with DDS Companies, and I'm appearing this evening on behalf of the owner of 900 Winton Road South. There it is. Oh, so the application that we've submitted calls for the saw cut and removal of about 330 square feet of existing asphalt on the south side of the existing building. You can see about 4.5 feet of that at its worst is actually over the property line. So we're cutting that back, which we want to replace with about 66 square feet, about 4x14 concrete equipment pad, upon which we're proposing the standby generator be placed. And we're also going to relocate as part of some interior renovations. The air conditioning condensers are also going to be located on that side of the building. The remainder of that space, we're going to return to grass. And then we're proposing to plant 9 midget arborvitaes as a little bit of a screen along the south side, adjacent to the immediate neighbor, and then on the west side to screen it from South Winton a little bit. And those start just inside the building line, and then we're going to extend that to just past the east end of that new equipment pad. So,
right.
And that's the generator.
Board questions, comments? So there are none. No objections, no.
So could you say anything about how this generator is rated in terms of noise? I happen to live really close to that building, so.
Sure. So thankfully, this is one of the newer generators whereby the most noise that it produces is during the actual emergency. When it runs during its test cycle, it produces 55 dBA, and at its worst, under full load, it's producing 65. So it's under allowable limits during both of those occasions. Like I said, during its normal test cycle, it's producing only 55 dBA.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? Nope. So I guess just our usual comments, Rick.
Okay, do you want to see any screening or anything? I'm sorry, Paul, did you mention any screening around that side of the building and the generator?
Just those 9 midget arborvitaes that we're
That's
proposing.
right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anything else from any of the members?
And I want to be sure I understood, you're taking out a portion of asphalt there. Forgive me, I looked away as you were saying that and missed any of the pointers that Rick was giving with the
I may not have been giving
site
any
plan.
pointers. I kind of lost this.
You're
I lost
always
my own
perfectly
screen there for a second.
orchestrated. But so I'm curious how much asphalt is being removed, because that is a very asphalt intensive stretch of South Winton with those, 3 structures there.
It is, yeah. So at some point, someone had asphalted almost completely around this building. So we're proposing to take out about 330 square feet of asphalt up at the southwest corner.
Mhm.
There, I see, okay. And that's being replaced
Just-
with plantings. And
Yeah, just shy of 24 feet worth we're pulling back from that front corner.
no potential for removing more.
Um,
At it.
yeah, we'll just keep going. Depends on who's driving.
I'll
the-
volunteer.
Yeah. That wasn't in the plan. They're tight on this site parking wise. And so I think they want to retain a little bit on that side. Not that it would be officially striped for parking, but just to have some extra space outside. I think they were going to retain just what was left on that side.
And is that because of parking minimums, or is that because they have that level of parking demand?
No, parking demand, according to the owner who runs a practice currently, is much lower than minimum requirements, but we're tight due to the minimum requirements.
I would love to see more more businesses that recognize they don't have the demand to fill out the parking minimum to consider seeking a variance for less parking, especially in a walkable portion of town like that, where I have to imagine a certain number of clients are walking there, and given the type of business that's going in there, it's not a high traffic office. So,
Right.
Well, it is dermatology, correct, Paul?
That is correct.
Yeah, dermatology can get pretty crazy.
really?
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Huh.
You get very, very busy. They like to pile up their patients in their waiting room.
We're going to be knocking down the door to get in.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
All right. Well, I still stand by those businesses that recognize that they may not have high volume need for parking, that they consider pursuing a variance for not, for reducing the amount of parking, and
Yeah.
taking advantage of breaking into that asphalt when they have that opportunity.
Certainly a good guide, Corinne. Anything more? Well, I guess this is a no comment item. We do have some usual boilerplate things, but nothing that's particularly significant. All right,
Okay.
we good with this project? Great, thank you, Paul.
Thank you so much. Everybody have a good evening.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to 6P-02-21, application of Westfall Medical Realty for demolition review, approval, preliminary and final site plan approval to raise the building and reuse the existing foundation. Very good. Slightly larger footprint. This is property at 2233 South Clinton.
Good evening, Murder, MRB Group.
Oh, hi.
How are you guys doing tonight? Just it's kind of an innovative, unique project where we're trying to keep the existing foundation and build upon the first floor and provide some additional new office space. The additional square footage is really an infill of an area that kind of bumped into the building. So it provides for more of a vestibule and an office space. So as part of that, obviously, if you've been to the site, you can see that there's a lot of existing vegetation. Most of the vegetation consists of like a burning bush or a barberry, some yews. I think the intention is to try to keep as much of that as possible. The construction, some of it may get damaged or need to get pruned back, but there is an allowance in our the contractor's budget to replace whatever is damaged and kind of to infill what is needed.
Question?
That's all the summary I have. So.
We have no questions? Okay.
I think, Tom, it might be an interesting fact that you talked about the geothermal that you're proposing for the site.
I only know as much as you just mentioned there, Rick. I do know that they are proposing geothermal for the project.
Yeah, they're already started actually digging for the geothermal, so this will be a sustainable type of construction.
Correct. They're trying to keep that sustainability. That's going in the front of the building that faces South Clinton Avenue.
And you are proposing new foundation plantings around the building?
No, we're going to try to keep as much of the existing foundation plantings as possible. You know, if
and you can
something
you can do that while you construct around.
That's what the builder is told us, and they're I know they're very well gifted.
All right. Maybe we'll have a comment about that those foundation plantings should be, looked at again after construction.
That is the a good comment, and the obviously the as part of the condition of approval, we assumed it would be.
Great. Great. Additional questions for Tom here?
Maybe we can just say we apply the use of
Well.
geothermal.
Uh-huh.
I'm taking mental note here.
Is there any difference with any of the drainage off of the site or off the building?
We took a look at that, and there are already roof leaders that are connected into storm sewer piping. So we don't anticipate any additional increase in runoff or impacts to the existing system. We do have a stormwater pond on site, which is southwest.
Yeah, good.
Great.
Parking, we meet all the parking requirements. We don't need any additional parking either. As the other times that comes up, and use for the facility is the same as it exists.
All right.
I guess the only other question is, are there any locations on the property that'd be suitable for large tree or two? I haven't seen the
Oh, what did you say?
Are there any places that would be suitable for placing another large tree or two on the property?
We could consider that. I know there are quite a few large trees out there that exist in the front, and just would want to, protect those canopies. And it always comes down to visibility of the building and the property, and as well as maintaining the current tree health.
Okay.
George, if you want, we could just put the consider, planting large deciduous trees or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Consider.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm just pulling up some photos here.
You won't be able to share.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Anyone else?
So basically, we're just going to have comments going back regarding the foundation plantings to be revisited after construction to see if they need to be replaced. Applaud the use of geothermal and consider planting additional large deciduous trees or deciduous plant trees. Anything else?
In agreement? All right, thank you, Tom. Good. So we move on to the EMC report. Do we have one?
Yeah, the last EMC report was about clean energy communities, which is something that the Sustainability Oversight Committee is working on, and currently trying to. It's a grant program through the state that you garner points for various projects, and the town's working on what projects we can do. So it's something Brighton's already involved in.
Good. Green.
And Mitch, which state program this is?
This is
this
let me get back to. This is clean energy communities 2.0.
Okay.
And we've already got some points for it, and the more points you get towards larger grants and that kind of thing. So the town's trying to plan out where to get the best bang for our buck as far as projects to undertake through the town.
Is the Sustainability Oversight Committee also looking at the Climate Smart Communities program? That's the similar sort of thing.
Yes, yeah, they're looking at both of those things. And to be honest with you, I get them mixed up when they start talking, because they both, there's a decent amount of overlap between them.
Uh-huh.
My understanding was that we had become a climate smart community many years ago. Is that
Yeah, we're bronze level.
still true?
Yes.
Yeah.
A bronze level, but I think there's. It's been a while since we've worked on that, trying to get any higher in there. But I for some reason, I feel like they were focusing more on this one because there's more. There's, you can sort of get. I think this is a little more direct with the points that we're getting, but again, I should refresh myself on where we're at with both of them. I know that this one in particular is kind of enticing because some other communities have gotten onto higher levels, like Canandaigua's gotten pretty high up there, and they we've got some of the similar projects that we could undertake here.
Yeah, I've been impressed by looking at those sorts of programs because it's kind of a useful checklist for things that we might be considering the town of Brighton. In some cases already are, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can forward everyone the presentation. It shows you the projects and the points that you get for each project.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty interesting. It's a pretty cool.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I'll do that in a minute.
So Dennis, I think we're on to staff
Mhm.
report.
All right, good. Green report? Okay. New business, old business?
No, I have something, just Dennis, under staff report. Town Hall is reopening tomorrow.
Great.
We'll be taking people in limited basis, but anybody can come in, provided they're wearing masks and social distancing and all the COVID-related requirements. When are we going to be back live? I'm not sure. We're still working out those details. So for the next at least 1 or 2 meetings, we definitely will probably be doing virtual. But it could be close where we'll actually be able to see each other in person sometimes.
Mhm. Great, yeah. Doesn't it feel good, huh? All right. I did not get anything on tree council work, no trees, and
No trees this month, nope.
great, good. Because I wasn't prepared to talk about any. Is there anything else before we adjourn? Yes, George.
No, there is. Can I show you the tree survey?
Certainly,
Show some
please.
progress.
Okay, it's right, your codes.
Yep. So this is what we have so far, and you can sort of see what the deal is. The dots represent trees that have been surveyed, and they're kind of scattered over a variety of places. The greatest concentration has been right around the couple block area. It's about a half mile on a side, more or less square, centered on the high school. I have been able to get my kids out there. It's sort of a specialty of mine, I guess, learn how to do something complicated and then train 40 or 50 people to do it. And they have. We're currently, I have my same students out there walking circuits through this area to measure urban heat island effect. They're out there yesterday, they're out there today, and they'll be back out again Thursday, Friday. So we'll have a little bit more on this related to the questions of how the heating, sort of the uneven heating that we get relates to the town trees. So using, part of this is it's as much a demonstration, sort of proof of concept as anything else. This has been done before, but here in the town of Brighton, we haven't had the ability to show in very quantitative fashion what the trees are doing. So anyway, this is what we have so far, and this represents I forget the number on this. It's around 400 trees, and it's somewhere around 3 miles worth of streets. They mostly are town trees, although some of them are on school properties. That represents about 1%, 1 to 2% of the town streets. So one of the questions, of course, is to what extent are we going to try to push to do more of this? We launched into this with the idea of trying it, but how fast and how much, right? And then the other question that came up from Brett, who's not here, was how good are the numbers? And if you have boxes that you can free text in, people will. And some of these, you got to remember, these are 16 and 17-year-olds for the most part, and they have some rather strange comments in some cases. Like one is located where near a family of very cute cats and stuff like that. So you get a lot of sort of extraneous information related to the neighborhoods. But what I haven't done yet and can do at some point is go through and edit related to tree identifications that were uncertain or just don't make sense. And then also to make sure that the numbers are entered correctly, because that, strange things happen sometimes. But anyhow, that's, I don't know if anybody has any questions, but this is the setup so far. And I'll certainly be working with some people to measure more trees this summer, but the question of how much we want to do and how much this suits our interests and the town's interests is, I think, a bit of an open question.
I think this looks awesome. Have you run into any issues with accuracy of the tree identification with the kids? Or are they pretty on it?
Oh, there's a lot of problems. I mean, if you look at the identifications, you know, some are pretty clearly identified and pretty easily identified. Oftentimes, you have, you know, some of the apps are pretty good, but some of them also are looking at everything in the northern hemisphere. So you get things that are just not possible. It will be a little bit, probably the fastest way to verify the identifications is even just to drive down these streets and just look at the trees, because you can probably do that faster than you can open the pictures. But the pictures then, of course, in many cases will be good enough for identification. There's two pictures. One is the overall tree, and then the other one is a close-up, generally on a leaf. And we don't have that. We have pretty decent biodiversity of trees on the town streets, but you know, it's not an overwhelming variety for the most part. So you know, it needs a little bit of polishing, but a little massaging. But it's not, you know, it ought to be pretty good, in fact. Locations are pretty good also. We did manage to put one tree inside the high school building, but turns out that you have to submit, because you're working off your phone, and it starts by telling you that it's collecting the GPS coordinates, but then when you actually send the information, it uses your latest coordinates. So I've learned a lot in terms of what you need to do to tell people, and that's the hardest thing to do, is to get people to then, you know, they're ready to move on, but go back and stand next to your tree before you send the information in, or else the tree will end up somewhere else. Now that's not so critical, you know, if we have trees that are positioned out in the street, but they're, you know, within you know 40 or 50 feet where they're supposed to be, it probably doesn't really matter. But there is some weirdness like that. I mean, it's somewhat variable.
I think it looks really good, George.
So it's been fun, and it can be done, and it could be expanded and done more comprehensive fashion if we wanted to. But this is about the limits of what I can do at that level of detail. You know, from the high school. That's basically walking distance from the high school. A person can walk about a third of that if they're just walking in about half an hour. Right. So for doing the urban heat island measurements, I'm sending the kids out on 3 routes within that, you know, heavily sampled area, because that's about all you can do, is about a third of it. So that's kind of where it is. I did teach, aside from the kids, I ended up between last fall and the spring talking with, well, I don't know, 6 or 7, maybe 6 or 8 different community members in terms of instructing them how to use the tree survey, including some of you, which is, you know, it has to be something that you have time and interest to put in. But some of the people who signed up for the courses that I offered through Brighton Rec were interested in talking with their neighborhood group and then, you know, surveying a bunch of trees, you know, on their block or in their neighborhood. Which is, you know, if this is going to get done at a larger scale, that's going to have to happen to some extent.
George, I was just going to suggest that we could leverage the neighborhood associations for that. All it takes is a couple tree nerds in each neighborhood to get that rolling. But I didn't want to put too much pressure on you, because there are some 40 neighborhood associations in Brighton. But if you can deploy, you know, whether it's some of your students or some of the other community members that you've trained. You trained me, but not well enough for me to train somebody else. Not your fault. It's the learner's fault. It's on the learner. But we definitely have the neighborhood association lists and their ability to push that out to others and get people on board to do that. If you wanted to work on that, I'd be happy to help out with it.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. You know, school will be over in about 3 weeks, so I'll have time to mess around with, some of my summer projects, and I'd be happy to make that be one of them. And we have enough materials as far as the tree sticks and measuring materials to be able to do that. Especially if it was going to be done within sort of a short time period of, I'm not, what I've done currently, work with the kids is I have some 30 some sets of equipment, and they're dispersed to all the corners of the town of Brighton, because kids are, some of the reason for these sort of far flung trees is that one of the, after we did the ones around school, I sent them off with it as a homework assignment to log a couple trees, somewhere near their home, and and bring back the equipment when you're done, which generally works out pretty well.
Whenever you're ready to push it out to the neighborhoods, we can get on that.
Thank you. I'll let you know.
Great.
All right, do we have anything more this evening? Nope. Well, I'll hear a motion to adjourn and call the meeting to an end. Thank you all for your.
Just before we end, our next meeting
Good talking to you.
is Tuesday, July 13th. Tuesday, July 13th for the next meeting. I know that it's been, popping into vacation time, so please let me know if we're not going to be able to make that meeting.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Night.